Today I'm celebrating New Moon Day, not April Fool's Day. The word used for new moon in Hebrew is Rosh Chodesh, literally means beginning, head, or renewal, the beginning of the month, but it is time for a spiritual renewal. All through the scripture, the new moon was a day when the prophets heard from Yahweh, being a day designated for waiting upon Yahweh, for discerning his purpose, and for the prophetic revelation. They were days of assembly, and God dealt with Israel at these times, speaking through his servants, the prophets. We are also told in the New Testament these days are prophetic and foreshadow future events. The celebration of the new moon has great prophetic significance for Israel as the bride of Yahweh, and it is, was, and still an appointed time of his choosing to give prophetic revelation to his people of his purpose for them. The new moon and the Sabbath were closely linked, as both were holy, set-apart days unto Yahweh himself, and the celebration of the new moon is placed in importance in the scriptures, along the side keeping the Sabbath. It is not cited in the Torah until Numbers chapter 10, because it is a celebration based upon the testimony of Yahweh's corporate people being established as his luminary in the world. Yahweh called Israel to be a light to the Gentiles, a holy set-apart nation which reflected his glorious light. At the beginning of each month, they were called to come aside from their normal functions for existence in this world to reflect upon their ordained purpose of reflecting his presence in the world and revitalizing their spiritual lives in him. Joseph was given a dream of the sun, moon, and stars as it is related to their initial household of faith. This is carried through into its fulfillment in Revelation 12 with the woman, God's corporate people, arrayed with the glory of the sun, representing the glory of the Father, with her feet standing upon the moon, the reflected light of the sun, and the deputation of the 12 stars of his government assigned to her. This portrays that the woman, Yahweh's bride, in the end days will have come into the glory of the Father in her witness and testimony as the light bearer of the sun, meaning Yeshua, in her earthly commission, standing upon the moon, established in her testimony as being the light of the world. As his bride keeps this feast of her appointment with Yahweh and comes into alignment with him, she will reflect his light in ever-increasing degrees of magnitude until she actually shines with the glory of the Sun of righteousness. But we all will, unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as the Spirit of Yahweh. The months in the sacred calendar are established as lunar months. Therefore, the sighting of the new moon was ordained to establish the beginning of the monthly cycle, and therefore the first day of the month. The moon's full cycle of illumination lasts a little over 29 days. We have our biblical months of either 29 or 30 days. The new moon is precise astronomical events and can occur on different days because of the rotation of the earth. The determination of the new moon, therefore, must be determined from the time in which it occurs in Jerusalem to ensure the uniformity of religious worship throughout the world, giving increased communication. This is based upon Scripture, which places Jerusalem as the throne of Yahweh, the center point of the law, which will be given under Messiah through the waters of the Spirit. God has placed his name there forever. Before the time of modern calendars, the new moon was vitally important, as it was the official announcement of when the new month had begun. Because Yahweh gave commandment to observe the feasts and festivals in their given times, it was vital to keep an accurate count of when the new month began and to celebrate the festivals correctly. Yahweh spoke spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, Yahweh's appointed festival that you are to designate as holy convocation. These are my appointed festivals. These are the appointed festivals of Yahweh, the holy convocations which you shall designate in their appropriate time. The Father is very clear that the festivals are to be celebrated not because they are for man, but because they are His appointed times. The New Testament church also understood them. In Colossians chapter 2, verse 16, it reads, Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of any holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days. The church has kept this for centuries, so if you are a Reformed true followers of the Messiah, you should consider to keep the sacred calendar as it was in the temple period. In Isaiah chapter 66, verse 23, it reads, And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, Yahweh, saith the Lord. I want to thank you for visiting King's Kid Outreach Ministry, and I hope you enjoy your day of peace and spiritual rejuvenation. Please see the links in the description and the links of the scriptures for your reference. Please continue to pray for our nation and our brothers and sisters in Israel. Peace and love.